Hello my friends and welcome back to Friday. It's the day that I'm going to have a beer and I hope you also. We survived this week. But today I cannot begin the news with very positive notes. I mean, there is some jokes and positive news in this video, but I have to begin with the realist, the most important news, which is that Russians have advanced and they have pushed through Ukrainian defenses at one certain area. It's not a decisive breakthrough, but yes, Ukrainians have had to pull back, especially on the Avdiivka front. I'll also show it on the map. So this is the previous Ukrainian defensive line. As you can see, Avdiivka is right here. That's the settlement Russians used about 50,000 KIAs altogether to take. And now Ukrainians were rotating troops, switching the men. They don't do that often, but they did that. And then, as you can see, Ocheretune, this settlement right here, which is occupied now by the Russians, this is a railway track right here, and the Russians were following it. The thing is, when Ukrainians were rotating, then their troops are at the most vulnerable. New troops haven't come in yet, and old ones are already preparing to leave, and that's where Russians attacked. And they pushed through, forcing these rotating troops to begin a retreat. And therefore, we see that Russians have had this big salient through the Ukrainian defensive lines, and Ukrainians have been trying ever since, for the past week actually, to push them back, to undo this Russian advancement. But unfortunately, it hasn't been possible. It hasn't happened. 47 mechanized brigade of the Ukrainians, which is one of the elite brigades, equipped only with the Western tech and Western armored personnel carriers, was sent to plug in this gap. Russians are not advancing right now. They have been stopped, but Ukrainians have been unable to push them back. Now, this is a localized loss for the Ukrainians. If some YouTube comments now say, oh, you're so positive, what are you talking about? Russians are advancing all the time. Yes, my friends, you could say right now that Russians are very slowly, let's rephrase, extremely slowly advancing, but we're talking about square miles, square kilometers here. The overall area, ever since Bakhmut was occupied, the overall area Russia has occupied is about 100, 200 square kilometers. It's extremely small area. And Ukrainians, what they're doing right now, since they don't have the Western aid reaching them yet, is trading territory for extremely high Russian losses. That's what they're doing. But yes, I cannot hide it. Russians have advanced, as you can see on the map very clearly. My friends, when Ukrainians attacked many Russian oil refineries, then United States did not like that at all, because it pushes up the oil prices all across the world, and the US is very sensitive to that. So this is why they said many times publicly to Ukraine, don't attack Russian oil refineries. And Ukraine was like, okay, but we're still gonna do it because we need to defend ourselves. Now United States came through with the aid, and Ukraine has not attacked another refinery again, but as you can see in these videos, something was attacked. Now, there is a difference between a refinery and an oil depot, oil storage tank, and this is what Ukraine attacked. This is a storage tank in Omsk, and it's burning. It's filled with oil, these white tanks. I'm sure you have seen them. They have a lot of oil in them, or oil products, and Ukraine sent some kabooming drones into it, and now it's very difficult to put out. And I want to watch one very certain video with you. This one. We can see the fire, we can see the smoke column, we can see the firefighters, and it's important. We'll get to it. But right now, let's just enjoy the scene of Russian firefighters trying to put out this massive oil fire. I mean, obviously, they're not going to put this out with water. It's not going to happen. It's just going to burn until the oil is gone. So this is what Ukraine is doing now that they're not attacking oil refineries. They're attacking oil storage tanks. But my friends, we have a firefighter in the audience, and he said this comment, and I'll read it to you because it's priceless. Never fear, Ruski firefighters are here. Low pressure out of hose, pumping, sputtering. Seems like a tiny horse for big fire. Yes, that's what I said. Yeah, it's too little water for too big of a fire. It's almost a chemical fire. I don't know how you would call it, but I think this would need to be put down in a different manner. Fire truck from the 1960s. Oh yeah, baby. Big boss watching and doing Prigozhin pointing gesture. Fire should burn itself out in a few days. Yes, that's how it usually goes in Russia, especially also with the floods right now. Huge floods. Almost 1 million people people, their homes are flooded, and the government is like, you know, if we wait 2 weeks, the floods will go back because the big water season will be over. That's their official approach to it. With the fire also, yeah, spray some water on it, pss, 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 but it will burn itself out in a few days. Don't worry about it, Ivan. Cold turkey may be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habits. I'm not talking about some weird mind voodoo from your crazy neighbor. I'm talking about my sponsor, Fume. And they look at a problem in a different way. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong. So instead of drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-winning, flavored air device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all-natural delicious flavors. You get it? Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. It fills the void in a natural, guilt-free way. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing while breaking your habit. Base was launched in January. It's a weighted stand to rest your Fume when we're not in use, with a magnet inside that keeps your Fume attached. The Fume device can be spun around on it, which is good for fidgeting. Stopping is something we all put off because it's hard. But switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 150,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use the code Estonian to save an additional 10% off on your order today. Thank you, Fume, for sponsoring today's video. My friends, this next topic is about military analysis. Let's put numbers on the screen, black and white, so everybody is on the same page, Europe and United States, because there is a thrift in between. In the last 6 months when the US aid went to zero, there's tensions. Now, let's see really what numbers, which countries, and European Union is not a country, but which organizations have committed. The new United States aid packet is large, but not game changer. It will help to bring Western support back to the level of early 2023, but only for about 6 months. Europe remains in lead on overall support, but did not fill the gap left by the US. Now, this is the overall support, all support combined, given to Ukraine or promised to Ukraine. And usually European Union and the United States have all fulfilled their promises, one by one, slowly. Now, Europe has allocated and sent already, almost 100 billion, and the United States has sent about 65-70 billion. Now, Europe has allocated, so more aid will be sent in the future. Already signatures given, 100% happening, 170 billion altogether, combined to 170. But United States, with this new 60 billion aid packet, will be 130 billion. So European Union is right now leading in aid given, and this is how it should be. If you're American, I'm saying this is how it should be. European Union should twice, triple as much aid as the US, because it's our neighborhood, it's our backyard. We have to fight for our security and our democratic values and our European Union economical zone. The United States aid is just a plus that I'm very thankful for, but honestly, that 6 months that the aid didn't come through, it's a shake-up for the European leaders because they need it. Western support to Ukraine has collapsed since mid-2023, with the United States aid falling to zero and Europe providing aid as usual, but it's not the case. Our data shows that total aid flows to Ukraine have fallen by 50% compared to last year. Europe has clearly not made up the decline in the US aid. 2023, the third quarter, the fourth quarter, United States is purple. You can, United States is orange. You can see here. And fourth quarter, the last part of 2023, still a little bit aid packet, and 2024, nothing from the US. But then again, we can see the European aid allocations also in decline. And this is the time that Russia is building up their weapons production infrastructure, and they're fully gearing into war mode, while European Union is a bit sleepy. We got I bring it up so much, but we got the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak saying proudly that Britain will switch to war mode, and by 2030 they'll have 2.5% of GDP allocated to military expenditure. I have said it many times, and I sound like a broken record, but tomorrow every country in the EU, 3%. Make it happen. If I was a politician in the EU, that would be my promise. That would be my way to the European Parliament. Tomorrow, 3%. Let's make all of the countries responsible for the benefits they get from the European Union. But then they do have to defend the borders of the European Union. Spain enjoys the benefits. Italy enjoys. Poland, of course, enjoys. And Poland gives a lot, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. But if we want this to continue, we have to protect this economic zone, the Schengen area. All of this united zone is in danger right now. So even countries who are not threatened by Russia directly still need to protect it. So 3% by tomorrow, vote for me. That's my promise. I don't know how politics works, obviously. Cannot promise something by tomorrow. Europe and the US are now on par regarding military aid. Since October 2023, Europe allocated 15 billion euros in military. Since October 2023, so about 8 months, Europe allocated 15 billion euros of military aid. In comparison, the new United States aid packet contains approximately 23 billion of weapons deliveries to Ukraine as of our preliminary assessments. Because out of that 61 billion, a huge chunk was to replenish United States military weapons stockpiles. This is another argument I get from the US, and especially from MAGA Trump supporters, that we shouldn't give this money to Ukraine. If you really look at the aid, dear MAGA and Trump voter, this aid, about 20 billion, as said in this analysis, goes to Ukraine in United States produced weapons. That means the money goes actually to the US and the weapons will be brought to Ukraine. And another about 20 billion goes to buy weapons from the US to the US. So it's money going to the wages in the US, and even the weapons will be in the US. So this military aid packet, it's just a huge victory for US economy. That's what it is. Ukraine is even not benefiting that much of it compared to what US gets out of it. Europe versus United States, total military allocations in billions of euros. There are right now allocations, that means promised for future deliveries, and they're quite equal. But I think I'm not saying the United States is doing too little or too much. I'm saying Europe is doing too little. That's my message right here. This European number should be 210, so 3 times as much as right now. Cannot rely on the US on our turf. Okay, this tweet goes on, but you get my point. United States came through, but it's not their duty to do that. It's our duty to protect our backyard. But now, my friends, I'm sure you've seen it many times. This is a Russian turtle tank. I mean, it's a T-72, but they're doing these armored assaults that have failed so much. We have Vuhledar of 2023, we have Avdiivka coming all together. We have thousands of armor just laying and rusting because it was destroyed at the first minutes of an offensive. Now Russians are trying to fight that by installing an insane amount of metal sheeting, armor plating on top of the tank. Now, what does it do? It does many things, actually. And by the way, there's only one of these tanks in each attacking column, because this tank will have the most amount of infantry below it, defending from the kamikaze drone. Secondly, this will be the leading tank and the electronic warfare tank, meaning it will have very powerful electronic warfare and drone jamming systems on it, defended by this metal sheeting right here. And honestly, I gotta say, I think that metal plate will stop the first kamikaze drone. Not the second one though, but it will stop the first one, and it also doesn't stop the mine. So overall, it doesn't really do much, but it makes Ukrainians use 2 kamikaze drones to take out this tank. Of course, honestly, if Ukrainian kamikaze pilot is good enough, he will steer the drone right into the butt of the tank, and then 1 drone is enough anyway. So I would say this is quite useless, doesn't do much, and we have many videos of these tanks being destroyed like every other tank, but the Russians are trying. Now, my friends, I'll show you something you've never seen before in your life. This is a Russian drone operator with a DJI drone flying across the sky somewhere on the front line. What's peculiar is, check this out. Whoa! Looked like a Hollywood movie, looked like a CGI effect, but no, this is a Russian Su-25 who did not see the drone, of course, because it's moving so fast and the drone is so small. But oh my God, is that a close one? Look at this. Ooh boy, what is it, a half a meter, maybe a meter? If this drone would have been left inside one of the engines, for example, I think this Su-25 would have been knocked out cold and pushing up sunflowers on this very same Ukrainian field. Very close, 1 meter was missing from this Russian drone destroying this Russian Su-25. Let's look at it again. Bada boom! Wow, wow, wow. Now this is some Hollywood stuff. Crazy. My friends, ever since Prigozhin was knocked out cold, I am missing a clown. I need a clown. Prigozhin was a very great clown. But sometimes I can use Lukashenko because he's a potato head and he's stupid. And he doesn't really know that he's stupid. You know what's funny about people who don't know that they're stupid? Because they don't have any shame. Because they don't know that they're stupid. So Lukashenko very proudly performs in every opportunity he's given with the cameras. And it's still, like, he lacks the charisma of Prigozhin, but it's still sometimes entertaining. For example, the president of Belarus, this happened yesterday. The president of Belarus seemingly made out of the blue statement that the Belarusian opposition, under the wise guidance of NATO, intends to occupy a part of Belarusian territory and declare a new government. Additionally, his security forces reported that they destroyed a killer drone that had entered Belarus from Lithuania. These goddamn Lithuanians, they're entering with their killer drones into Belarus. Me with my big potato head, I have to warn my people. Lithuania, of course, denies this, and there is certainly no reason to doubt that. I mean, what the hell? Yes, it doesn't get up to the shenanigans of Prigozhin level, but it's still shenanigans enough. Now, my friends, I'll jump a little bit back to the United States aid again, because, yes, the first aid packet that Joe Biden promised will be delivered within hours of his signature, supposedly already delivered, $1 billion, a big one, but it's nothing compared to the next one planned by the United States, and it's part of the 60 billion, of course, but the next single aid packet is in the size of 6 billion USD. America is preparing the largest ever package for Ukraine under the USA program for total amount of 6 billion. It includes Patriot air defense systems, artillery ammunition, drones, equipment for combating drones, air-to-air missiles, which will be installed on fighter jets, and supposedly these air-to-air missiles are the missiles that are necessary for F-16s, and the United States is sending them beforehand. Just everything to be ready when F-16 arrives. The ammunition is already there. Now, my friends, I want to show you a Ukrainian plane or a drone. Or a plane drone. Is it the bird? Is it the plane? Well, it's a plane. It's just a small manned plane, but Ukrainians have converted these into self-driving kamikaze drones. And this fell down on a Russian field somewhere. It's like a long-range self-driving kamikaze drone. You enlarge the fuel tank so you can fly like 1,000 kilometers, carrying this pretty big bavovna right here, hitting a Russian fuel tank, for example. We have seen a video of this happening, actually. This plane driving into one fuel tank. This is the bomb attached to it, and that's the camera system attached to it, and it's completely self-driving. So Ukrainians have converted it, just a regular plane, into a kamikaze drone. Yeah, pretty cool. Unfortunately, this one, though, fell on the field. Now, they are effective, although they're big and they're quite easy to shoot down, but if they hit the target, pretty effective. My friends, watch this video. What do you get? Prigozhin vibes, right? Tons of cash. Like tons of cash. We're talking millions, if not tens of millions, of just freshly printed United States $100 bills. This is US money, but what if I were to tell you it's in Russia? Yeah, because in Russia, you know, government theft is at all-time high. It's the official quota that everybody in their positions steal. And you know what? How they usually make trades and thefts? Like the corruption money and the bribery money in Russia, this is weird for Americans, I think. In Russia is done with US dollars. Russia is fighting in Ukraine much against the US and the aid, and everything the US is bad and rotten in Russia, but they trust the US currency so much and ruble so little that the primary money always moves in dollars. By the way, this is the home of the former Deputy Defense Minister Ivanov, who was detained a week ago. And here is just bags of cash in his home. Now we cannot say if this was planted by FSB or if it was actually true. It doesn't also really matter, because every Russian official in the same hierarchy, like the same importance, like the Deputy Defense Minister, has these bags of cash because they steal the procurement money, and it's done through the US dollars anyway. So this is not an isolated event. You can see this picture in any Russian higher official's home. But the point is that it's done in the US dollars. Russian bribery cost is in the currency is US dollar. It's weird. And now, my friends, I want to show you a map. Look, this is southern Ukraine. And of course, eastern Ukraine has the same lines, but now we're focusing on the south. These lines here are Ukraine's own Surovikin line, or let's call it actually what it is. Donbas line is right here, and this is the southern defensive line in the depths. Ukraine is building that out. This is a very strong statical defense with anti-tank ditch, dragon's teeth, and many layers of infantry trenches with firing positions on the heights on every direction, and like not only trenches but separate bunkers after every 1 kilometer. So this is a very strong defensive position, and the same positions are being built out in the east also. This is a massive project that Ukraine is finishing right now, and Russians have not even reached it yet. So we hear this Russian advance. I wouldn't call it advance if we're talking about 200 square kilometers in 4 months. I mean, with the price of tens of thousands of dead. But if some pro-Russian people want to call it an advance, I cannot do nothing about it. The thing is, Russians have not even reached this defensive line, so they're right now just fighting on temporary defenses of the Ukrainian frontline troops. But these are stationary, built by heavy equipment, meant for destroying everything that is pushed against it. So I believe truly that no Russian unit will pass this line here. No way. Alright, my friends, for the last time in this week, I'll be butchering Buy Me a Coffee monthly members to oblivion. I'm so glad to do that in every video, because thanks to Buy Me a Coffee members, I have stability in this work and I'm able to do this every day. So that's why I enjoy it so much. Sveinung, Rankavik, Steph, Andi Perry, Walter E. Tollefson, Artur. Oh boy, remove the H from your name and you got a nice name. Alen Murtik, Andi Perry for the second time? What, 2 times? Well, double champ. Thank you to these monthly members of Buy Me a Coffee page. Now, my friends, I'll introduce you to my new Ukraine aid platform built specifically for you. Only for you. So don't miss the opportunity to go and check it out. Links in the description below. Until my next video, my friends, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye. My friends, we at the Rehi team have taken the next huge step in Ukraine aid operations. The operation is public at rehiartur.com. I'll walk you through it. On rehiartur.com, you have 2 options. By clicking on Rehi store, you can discover a whole new clothing brand called Rehi, and you can see the page on the screen and in the description below. There are 2 collections, Rehi and Ukraine Classics. I wanted to give you a way to show your mindset through the designs you wear, and thus Rehi was born. You can show your support for the freedom of the Ukrainian nation by wearing the most iconic designs connected to the Ukrainian fight for independence. For example, with love from Ukraine, or in HIMARS with trust. If you wish to go more conservative, then Rehi collection is for you. The Rehi brand stands for what I stand for, the freedom of one's nation to determine their own fate. By the way, you can even surprise your companion with a gift card for a present. Okay, that was scary, starting my first clothing brand. But that's not all. On rehiartur.com, we can click on Artur's Army to go to artursarmy.com. Whole new Ukraine aid platform. You can see that Artur's Army has delivered close to $500,000 worth of equipment to Ukraine. And if you scroll down, you can see 3 operations to contribute to: drones, vehicles, and humanitarian aid for those who wish to help Ukrainian orphans. All delivered drones and vehicles show up if you scroll down even more. As you can see, Ukrainian victory loading is in progress. You can click on read more to any of the 3 missions to find out more information about the specifics and past successes. My friends, I'll go through the checkout with you. For example, let's pick drones and let's click donate. It guides us to this really cool checkout page. Contribution for the purpose. You can choose multiple categories. The summary will be shown down below. For example, one cheap kamikaze drone costs 1,000 USD. So if you click 1,000, it's 1 tank destroyed. If you click 500, it's 0.5 tanks destroyed. And if you play around with this one right here, you get the exact number of tanks destroyed. We're talking about Russian tanks demilitarized, of course. This is the most cost-efficient and fastest way to knock the occupiers out cold. Now, if you're finished with drones and you want to add something more to your cart, click vehicles, and one vehicle costs 15,000 USD, so you can choose your own amount or play around with this one here to choose a smaller amount, and you can see it translates immediately. You can fill out your entire cart like that. Or humanitarian aid, we will be delivering laptops to Ukrainian orphans so they can continue learning and their education path. If you have chosen everything, you can do the checkout by PayPal or credit card, which is Stripe, and boom, that's how easy it is. I will be creating footage, images and videos. I'll be putting all of the convoys on my YouTube channel, on my Buy Me a Coffee page, on everywhere. So you can see that your money is put in perfect use in the most efficient and fastest way possible. Your skills and expertise can be used for Ukrainian victory, so join Artur's army. For that, there is a form to fill out, and that's it. We will be in touch when we have a mission for you. My friends, together we will bring Ukraine to victory. Slava Ukraini!